cover is going to be on here, and like you were asking, it's not going to be straight across, but it's going to kind of go down and back up, and it's going to want to retain water when it rains. And what you need, what happens is you need a cover pump, and I'll show you.
Dave texted me one, and I ordered the one he texted me.
Okay, that's good. So did you know what he ordered you?
A Wayne.
It's an auto cover pump,
Yep.
maybe. Yep. Okay.
It's got a blue thing on the bottom.
Yep. Okay, that should have a float in it. So what you'll do is you'll leave that out in the cover, run your hose off of it to, I don't know.
I have a drain over there.
Yep, there you go. Plug it in, let it go. Once, it rains, it's going to keep it pumped off dry. That enables you to keep the leaves blown off of it. You can leave your vac pole and brush out, push them off the side. It'll be taut enough to where, and you just want to keep that scenario up until it gets cold enough to freeze. Once it gets cold enough to freeze, you're done. You don't want to be out here messing with the cover. You're not going to shovel the snow off or anything. So at that point, and like last year, heck, we pumped off all the way till Christmas. It was nice, but some years they're calling for snow possible. And if it, you can unplug that thing and let it sit there for a while if it's going to be cold and you don't want to mess with it for a week, but then in 2 weeks it's going to be nice, then leave the setup out there because you can keep it pumped off as late as you can. But once it finally gets to where it's winter's here and it's going to get cold and there's ice forming, get that cover pump off, put it away, you're done. Now, when the snow starts to build up on there and melts, it's going to start building up water. And as that water builds up, it's going to push it out that overflow.
Okay.
And in the springtime, you could have anywhere from a foot, foot and a half, 2 foot of water, whatever builds up. So now the water level on that cover is the water level of your pool. If you were to take that cover and just pull it off of there, it wouldn't change, but it would let all that dirty water in, and that's not what you want. So March, whatever, whenever it starts to get nice and it's going to stay, put your cover pump back out there and start pumping off. Well, what holds this liner down is the weight of the water in the pool. So if you're pumping that cover off, you're actually pumping the pool out. And if you were to pump it straight off, you'd be down 1.5 foot or 2 foot. Well, you don't want that because the hydrostatic ground pressure that's built up in the ground in the spring from the rains and the snow melting, you could actually end up with more water outside the pool than in it. And what that does is it floats the liner. It'll just puff in.
Okay.
So what you do is when you pump that cover off in the spring, you take your garden hose, and this will have a flap here. You can snap these bungees off and flip it back and see your top step, put your garden hose in there. And that's why you only want to use a garden hose type pump, not an 1.5 inch sump pump, because you're not going to be able to put it in as fast as you're pumping it off.
Right.
So your benchmark is going to be this top step. You can be able to tell because you're not going to be able to really see the pool with the cover on there and the water on it. So you want to maintain it about 1 inch over that top step. And really you're not going to get any higher than that because it's just going to want to run out the overflow. So as you're pumping it off and adding, now, and this isn't going to take like an hour, this is going to probably take a couple afternoons of fooling with, You start pumping off and adding, and the cover's going to just surface right back up to the top. And as you're doing this, and I'm assuming, depending on whether you get grass growing here, you're probably going to have some dirt and silt and stuff that blows on it. You can take your vac pole and brush and kind of pre-scrub it, keep that stuff up in solution so as it pumps off, it kind of pre-clean it. Then before we're going to come out and demo open this,
I think he's trying to pull it
over. That blue bottle over there has cover cleaner I'm going to leave with you. And you'll take about 4 or 5 glugs of that and put it in a bucket and hit it with the hose. It'll make a zillion suds, pitch it right out there on the cover, and just scrub it up and hose it to the cover pump and let it pump off. Now, if there's clear water on that or any of them suds, that's fine. Because when we come out, what we're going to do is fold this cover off. You'll probably see it when we pull it on if you're here. We'll fold it off in a 3-foot pleat, and we'll put a lot of this suds all over it. We'll re-suds it and put suds in with it, because that stuff keeps it from mildewing when it's stored.
Okay.
And we'll roll it up from that end of the step, tie it up, and then what we like to see you store it in is they sell it's actually a garbage can at Lowe's. It's called a toter, T-O-T-E-R, and they make a 36 and then a 96, and the big one's what you want. It's like $80. It's cheap insurance because these are wet. The ants like to get into them and chew them full of holes. So what we do is put them in that cover rolled up in there, put some more suds on it because that'll keep it from mildewing. It's going to mildew a little bit, But the longevity of these covers is that they're stored wet, not dry. If they're dry, they tend to dry out, shrink, and it cuts the life short. And then we'll put your styrofoam in each bag, put that in there, cover it, seal it. So wherever you store it, nothing's going to get into it. Okay? Then and normally, like in the fall, when we go to close, people just roll that out. We have the cover, we have the, or the same way with you have the styrofoam. You got everything you need to close the pool. So that's pretty much the scenario but on that sheet I gave you on the front page, that's what it says.
Okay.
Make sure that in the springtime when you're pumping the pool off that you add, you don't want to lower that water level, because that's when you come in a chance of floating the liner. This is yours. This is the warranty on the cover. Make sure there's a card in there that you should send in.
Okay.
If there's any questions, we're around. I mean, we shut down here in a little bit. David's about done. But we answer we check the answering machine every day. So if there's something comes up and you're not sure, just call. We'll get back to you. Laura starts back in the office the 1st of March. So anytime after the 1st of March, it gets crazy. She starts scheduling openings. And we do about 400 almost now, close to 350 to 400. So we start this year. I opened the first one April 4th. Because I have people that just want the cover, open. They just want it open, and we go through the first week of June. But it gets really crazy on scheduling. Now with these demos, we have to do it so you guys are here. But on a regular season, and she'll just, plot us in like a whole day in Avon Lake, 2 or 3 days. So she's going to want to plug you into those days. So the earlier, if you know when you want to open, but she won't take them because you got to look at the weather. You don't know.
Right.
It could be snowing. Some people when they first have the pool, they're really anxious to open it the first few years, and then later on, why it's not a big deal. It's like, okay, we'll get it open when we're ready. We got time. But so anytime after the 1st of March, you want to call her and set up something. Cover's really strong. You can basically walk on it. I wouldn't walk across it when it's really cold, but so you don't have to worry about deer or anything getting on it and tearing it up. It's pretty heavy duty.